Hi YouTube family, my name is Elysia English and welcome back to my channel. During this video, we're going to talk about my craft show. My show is finally done and I'm back home. 5 days was a long time to be home, away from home. I was there all day last Wednesday setting up, and then we had 4 days of show. I was zonked by the time I got home, and so I'm so happy to be back home with all of my boys and getting life kind of back on schedule. You're there for so long, but it's so exciting, so I'm going to tell you all about it. I couldn't wait to tell you guys all about how my show went. It was a huge success and it was so fun being in such a gigantic building with so many people that are trying to make extra money for their families and making all of their items by hand. This was an arts and crafts sale, so all of the items that were there were all items that were made by hand. We arrived with a full trailer load full of all of the items that I made to take to the show on Wednesday, and we had several hours to be able to set up. I was surprised when I got there that there weren't very many vendors that were there the day prior to be able to set up their booth. It took Mom and I a long time to get our booth set up just how we wanted, and it actually made it easier that there wasn't very many vendors there for getting it in. You enter into a great big warehouse area where there's parking to be able to put your trailer, and you have some time to be able to unload. Back at the building, there's these huge bays, and this is where all the vendors are coming in to be able to set up at their spots. So when I came in today, I came in this great big bay over here and then went directly through some pathways they have to get all the way to the back to be able to set up your booth. My booth was on the far side of this gigantic agriplex, and so it did take quite a bit of time to get all of my materials over. But of course, I had Philip and my boys and mother and father-in-law's help to be able to get all of my items over. My white shiplap walls, which I'll link the card above for the video on how I made those, worked perfectly, and I was so happy that I was able to have them to showcase my work. For setup day, we weren't exactly sure what the weather was going to do, and they were calling for rain. So I made sure to have a lot of the thick, clear, recyclable bags to be able to slide all of my signs in. That way, when they were in the trailer, if it did happen to rain, they would be under tarp as well as the plastic. It was a really good idea because it did sprinkle a little bit, so I was really happy that I had that extra protection. Once we got everything into the location of our booth, we set up our walls and our display furniture first. Then we were able to take all of the items out of the bags, which were now not harmed because we were able to use the plastic bags and get everything set up. We took us several hours to be able to get everything how we wanted it to. And I still had items left at home. I had so many items made that we couldn't get them all there in one load. But I knew I had a few hours on Thursday morning to be able to set up and get the rest of my items into the building. So right now we are opening everything up, and we're just making sure that all the plastic and stuff is off of everything. And we're setting up all of our inventory. So it's gonna be a busy afternoon, but we're trying to get as much displayed as we possibly can. I just finished hanging my first round of ornaments to go on my ornament rack, so I need to get that into the booth because we can't actually stick out any further than that little blue cotton curtain that's hanging on the short side on the right there. We can't stick out in the aisle because there's gonna be so much traffic down this aisle. And that door that's all the way down at the end is the entry where people will come in. So I'm actually in an amazing location. So I'm really excited. I don't know if many of you remember the 3D Elysia English words that I used to have on the wall behind me during my YouTube videos. Well, I wanted to make a new sign for my booth, so I was able to attach it to some white shiplap boards and made this really nice branded sign for our show today. I'm really surprised at how few vendors are actually here setting up today. I would say that more than 80% of the vendors haven't even shown up yet, and it's evening time the day before the show. So you can see there's so many empty booths, and this building is gigantic. Look at how big this building is. It goes back further and further and further. It's just absolutely incredible how many vendors will fit in here. This show is going to be so exciting. So I came home, got a few more frames done, bagged everything up, and was able to take them there on Thursday morning. Thursday morning, we arrived at the show nice and early to be able to get the remainder of our booth set up. It really was so fun to be able to see it all come together with all of the items that I made. I didn't really feel like I had made as much as I wanted to, but once I got it all into the booth, I was really happy with how much I got done in such a short amount of time before the show. Just pulling up to the building on the first opening day, I have a truck full of items that I couldn't fit in the trailer yesterday, so I'm going to load them all in and get the rest of my booth set up. absolutely love the idea of having my own store with just Elysia English items. And this was a really fun idea because I was able to be there for 4 days and have a pop-up shop and was able to showcase all of my work. For me, it doesn't really make a lot of sense for me to have the overhead of having my own store. And so this was a lot of fun for me to be able to set everything up and display it and market my items. For this show, Mom and I invested a larger size booth. We had learned from the spring show where we had a 10 by 10 booth that it just wasn't enough space for us to be able to showcase Mom's beautiful fiber arts as well as my signs.
So this is a 10 by 10 standard booth, and Mom and I have a booth and a half. So we have a nice big double-sized booth.
With the signs, it's a little bit difficult because you need to be able to read all of the quotes that are on there. And so you need to be able to space out your items for people to be able to see the work that you've done. So we thought it would be a great idea to have a larger size booth this time. We had a 10 by 15 space. And when we got there, we were so happy we did because when we started setting up, everything just sort of fell into place. On Thursday when we were setting up, we were about an hour before showtime, and all I had left to do was put my price tags on my items. Mom and I had spent approximately 10 hours setting up our booth between Wednesday and Thursday, and so I was so surprised to see that there was still quite a few vendors who hadn't even arrived yet to set up their spaces. I made sure that I gave us lots of time, and we were eager to get there to get all of our items set up, but I just can't imagine the anxiety of showing up only an hour before showtime. They ended up actually opening the doors a few minutes early to keep the guests from coming and standing outside in the cold and rain. So I was so happy that we were all ready and anxious for everyone to come in the front door. It is now 10 a.m. and our show opens, and we're so excited because there were crowds of people, and I mean crowds and crowds and crowds out the building of people waiting to come to our show. This show runs every year at the same time for 40 years. So traditionally people come to the show to do their Christmas shopping, which is great as a vendor that so many people want to enter the show right when you open. So the traffic started flowing in, and we were so proud of how our booth looked. Mom and I were so excited to showcase the work that we had done, and the feedback that we were getting from the guests coming through was just absolutely phenomenal. We are just finishing up the first evening, and today went really well. The traffic was steady all day, so we're back here tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. You might think that having other sign makers or people that are in your niche at a craft show is not a good show to attend. Competition is actually a good thing. Think of all of the new clients that you might get if you attend a show where there's other sign makers. If people come in looking for something that's in your niche, they might walk by your booth thinking they're going to buy from your competitor and realize that your booth has better quality, maybe better colors, maybe fits their style better, and they might actually become a new customer of yours.
I made sure to have enough inventory that I could replace items. I have multiples of each of the things that I created. That way on day 2, I don't look empty.
Another tip I'll tell you is that just because there was competition of other sign makers in the building, there was actually maybe 6 or 7 other booths that had a lot of signage in them. I did not adjust my pricing based on what their prices were. I, in fact, don't even know what most of their pricing was. I didn't really concern myself with that at all. I set my prices based on the time it took me to make my items, the money that it took me to put into those items, as well as what I knew that my costs were overall for my space. I don't concern myself with what other people are doing. My products stand for themselves, and I set the prices that I wanted for my items. So on the first day that the show was open, Mom and I were there for 9 hours and then had about an hour ride home to be able to get some rest, to be back early again the next morning.
Today is morning of the second day, and I'm so tired, but we have 3 more days. We have today from 10 to 9, Saturday and Sunday. So today is gonna be a little bit of a long day. Didn't get a whole lot of sleep last night. I just couldn't turn off my brain. So yesterday I did really well. The booth was pretty busy all day. I sold over half of my ornaments and all of my small scroll saw handmade stuff. So I guess next year I need to make more of those items, which I did know. I just kind of ran out of time at the end while I was creating. So today they have a Santa that families can come and get their photos taken with. There's a radio station here today, so I'm gonna see if they'll shout out my YouTube. So listen for that. And then we probably will be pretty swamped after dinner time today.
In my previous video, I mentioned that I knew I needed to make more smalls for this show, but I was just running out of time. So my prediction was right. I actually sold all of my small items, about 80% of my ornaments, and all of my small scroll set items in my first evening of the show. I could have actually sold a lot more money's worth of items if I would have taken a lot more smalls in my booth. End of day 2, the day was steady all day. We had a flow of traffic. We did get busier a little bit earlier than I anticipated. I think because of the weather, a lot of people skipped some of the other things that were going on in the city, and we did get a good flow of people a little earlier than I anticipated. So I'm really happy with how much traffic happened that day. My sales were really good. I was able to sell quite a few of my signs that day, and I knew that I was going to have to go home for a really good night's sleep because we had now been at the show for 3 full days. So I was headed home for a good night's rest for our last day.
Good morning, YouTube family. Today is the morning of our busiest day of the show. It is Saturday morning. I'm losing my voice. This head cold is just not letting up, and after chatting with everyone yesterday and the day before, I'm running out of breath. So today's going to be a little bit interesting, but I'm really excited because today is the day that they've told us is going to be our busiest day yet. And I can tell because the parking lot I just pulled into is already so full. It's only 10 after 9. The show opens this morning at 10, and there's already crowds of people waiting at the door to get in an hour before the show. And it's freezing cold out, so they're waiting outside in the freezing cold to enter the show. So this show's been running for 40 years, so the people that come have traditionally been coming for a long time. I came when I was a kid with my family, and so these people wait to come on a day that it's open when they're not working, because Thursday, Friday were work days for everyone. So today is going to be super busy, and it's only open until 6 p.m., which is great because I've been getting home super late the last couple of days. And then when you have to come here early in the morning, and I have about an hour travel time both ways, it's kind of exhausting. So I'm really excited to update you at the end of today on what my busiest day is going to be. I ran out of almost all of my ornaments and all of my smalls in the first 2 days. So I'll know next year that I need to make more of those, and I know now what items were popular and what items maybe weren't so much. So there's a lot of things you kind of learn as you go. Thank you so much to everyone that came out to meet me in the last 2 days. It's incredible to meet you guys. Thank you so much for coming out to see me. You know who you are. Thank you for the hugs. Thank you for the gifts that you brought me, that you made with love. And it means so much to me. So thank you so much. I'm going to go in and get myself a warm tea and get a few things touched up in my booth before we open at 10 o'clock. And I will update you guys later today. The parking lot is already filled with cars, and it's all the way across the street and then all the way on the other side.
Update of the evening of day 3. I'm going to be completely honest. Today was a little bit of a slow traffic day. It was steady all day, but there were a lot of people coming in to buy food and just kind of walking up and down the middles of the aisles. So on the day that I thought was going to be my most busy day, didn't turn out to be quite as busy as I had hoped. When you sign up for shows, you just don't know, and weather always is a factor in that and what other things are going on around. So even though there was a lot of people in the building, there weren't really as many shoppers as I expected to have at this show on this day. There were so many positive comments today about my booth. It was just amazing. I had a lot of compliments about the quality of my items as well as the overall setup of our booth, which made Mom and I really proud of all the hard work that we did. It was so fun to be able to showcase all of the work that we had done. Everyone loved Mom's fiber arts. They looked stunning in the booth, and they really do match all of the things that I was taking. So we really were a good combination together in the booth. So having feedback that was so positive was just amazing. I had a favorite moment of today that I wanted to share with you. There was a wonderful group of women that came into the booth today that were hearing impaired. And I was able to do some simple signage with them while I was in the booth, and that made me really proud that I had remembered some of the signage that I had learned and taught myself when the kids were smaller, to be able to communicate with these women. So my favorite moment today was just being able to make someone feel really welcome in my booth, just knowing that they knew I was trying my best to communicate with them. Really made my day. Ending day 3, we are hoping yet again for another good night's sleep because we are so tired. We were just absolutely exhausted because we had now been at the show for 4 days, 3 days open and 1 day setting up. and we were looking at our weather satellite, seeing that a freezing rainstorm was supposed to take place overnight. So we're a little worried how we're going to safely get to the show in the morning. So we're hoping that we can get home before it starts, and then hopefully that it's clear in the morning to get back to the show bright and early. Heading to the show on day 4 was the scariest day I have ever been on the highway. I can't even believe, just thinking about what yesterday morning was like, that we actually made it safely to the location of the show. Philip was amazing driving on the highway, and I just knew we were all safe because he was driving, but I was just worried sick the whole way. The roads were nothing but ice, and we were driving down the highway, luckily without the trailer because we had already unloaded everything the days before. Trucks were in the ditches, cars were in the ditches, and we were actually lucky because we were driving behind an ambulance the whole way, so we were joking that if we needed it, they would just turn around and save us. So we are trying to head to the city, to London, where the show is, on day 4, and the weather is this. It's freezing rain, and the highway is crawling very, very slowly, and we're just trying to get there safely. Thank goodness we made it there safely. I had Philip drive me there because I knew I was so tired from the previous days, so it was really nice to get driven in the morning. The boys were excited to run in and see all the booths and say hi to their Nana, and they went back to head home to come get me later because we would need to load all the remaining items from the show at the end of the day to head home for our last day. So Mom and I made sure our booth was all touched up perfect, and we waited for doors to open on the morning of the 4th day. I'm surrounded by all handmade items that are all made with love, which is so fun. There's so many women here that are making extra money for their families, doing what they love, creating a life that they love. Women's items, we got Mom Bod, Choo Choo Roo has like baby items, upcycled clothing. And over here we have like handmade pottery and beautiful ornaments. So amazing to be surrounded by so many creative people that are just doing what they love to do. The 4th day was super slow, as you can imagine, because of the weather. It did clear up a little bit a few hours after opening, so we got a little bit of flow through. But the day overall wasn't too bad. We were so happy to head home at the end of the day at 4 o'clock, and I had my boys come and help us to load everything up to head back home. A lot less than what I came with, so we're going to get all this loaded back up in the trailer and head home for a really long nap. We are all done the show, and we're just doing teardown now and packing everything back up into our clear bags and crates. This is what teardown with 220 vendors looks like at the end of a 4-day show. It's just crazy, but I have lots of boy muscle to help me get all my items back to the trailer. Look at my family helping me out. Best family ever. My sons love being at the craft show in any capacity, so even loading and unloading, they love being little helpers at the show. I'm losing daylight telling you about the show. We're going to give you a lot more information this week during some different videos and showing you some of the other things that I made that you guys didn't get a chance to see. I hope you enjoy the clips showing my setup and everything. We're going to do a video answering some of the questions that you guys have in regards to the craft show. So any questions you have about the show, please leave them in the comment section, and we're going to be able to highlight them and answer them for you guys this week. So make sure if you have any comments or questions, leave them down below. We're actually going to be showcasing you and your comment with your profile picture and comment on our video. So make sure that you leave everything you want to say in your comment. Thank you so much for everyone who took the time to come out and meet me. I was honored to meet you. Your warm hugs were amazing, and your Made with Love gifts warmed my heart. So thank you so much for taking time to come meet me. You guys know who you are, and just know that you totally made my week. I want to thank everyone, all of our YouTube family, for their support for us getting ready and being at this show. Our videos have been a little scarce the last couple of weeks while we've been getting ready, so appreciate all of the support from you guys. We have a new series starting where we do different thrifted and upcycled items that we find on Pinterest in a more thrifty DIY way. And we're going to be launching that this week. We also have lots of holiday content coming for you guys this month. If you're not already part of our YouTube family, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much for watching. I love you guys, and I'll see you on the next video.